All right, welcome to the Appointing the Wise podcast. I'm Caleb Barker, and my guest today is Phil Zieseniss.
There you go.
Yes, got it. All right, he's my guest. He's running for city council here in Brigham City. Welcome, Phil. Thanks for being on the show, and my first guest.
Thanks, we're excited for you.
I appreciate it. So here's what I know about you, just some of the research that I found. You were a deputy sheriff from 2006 to 2021. Since then, you're currently a firefighter / EMT at Plain City. I saw on your profile you have 50 hours of Hillsdale courses on the Constitution, which I think is important. I like that. I like to see that kind of thing. And then I see here you're an Eagle Scout, so you got your Eagle back when it was cool. So that's also kind of a cool thing to see. In the last, in the primary election, is that primary or general? Primary election, you got 16%, 489, and then
barely made it.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
And yeah, so anything, I guess, to start us off with our questions. Who are you? What would you like your constituents to know about you? Future constituents.
Future, there you go. If lucky.
Yeah.
I don't know, actually. We should have gone up. Getting into politics to change for the good. I'm not a politician. Well, I guess I'm going to be, but I'm not your regular politician. I'm not a business person. I don't have a background in politics. Just a regular guy that doesn't like the way things are going.
All right. You said for the good. Do you have an idea of what do you mean by that? If you're saying you're trying to change things for the good, you have some specifics about what that looks like as far as what isn't good and what you'd like to change.
I think not just on a local level, on a national level, our country is it's gone so far away from what it started as, what it was meant to be, and what it should be. And I think that it needs to be steered back in that direction. And I think that the more local of an office you can hold, the more effect of change on your local community that you can have. And like I said, I'm not so much like we were talking, not so much, I run this business in town. And, I hear all of the issues that people bring to me, which is, taxes and all that kind of stuff. But I think down to the core of it, I'm just a patriot that wants to do something about it.
If you're elected, what are your top 3 priorities as far as what you can do at the local level here in Brigham City? What are the 3 probably biggest things that kind of come to mind here that you're like, if I could make a change in these 3 things, I think it would be worth it?
So public safety is a huge one. With my background of a couple of decades of law enforcement,
about that.
In EMS. I mean, all those other issues they're important, but they don't mean much if you can't walk down the street without worrying someone's going to do something to you, someone's going to do something to your kids, that your kids are, going to preschool next to a meth house.
Homeless people at the park. I've seen that before.
Yeah. Not much here, actually.
I like to work out. Actually, I was at Lindsay Park. I went to do pull-ups in the morning for part of my workout.
And Lindsay Park, that's where we're looking to have the.
Oh, yeah. I think all right. Yeah, for the vigil. I was doing like pull-ups on the monkey bars at like 6 in the morning or something. It's a homeless person sleeping in
that. Yeah. When I worked downtown Salt Lake was where I worked first for EMS. That's about 80% of your calls are just homeless people. I mean, there's a lot down there. No, big thing was that Ukrainian girl that got murdered on the bus last week. Stuff like that. Like if you can't walk down the street without worrying about something, the other stuff doesn't matter as much. So with my background, that's a big one.
We got one.
Fiscal responsibility is a huge one. I mean, with every taxing entity available in the county has raised our taxes this month. But the city, actually not as big as a lot of people thought.
Right.
I mean, they brought it down to from what I think 15% to like 4.5%.
Right.
Which
on top of the little bit that it was.
Right. The counties raised it. I don't remember the exact number on that. Mm-hmm. But as you know, and everyone else knows right now, the school district, man, 37% for our school district. Like that's nuts.
Yeah, it's a couple $100, I think, at least for me.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a big chunk of change. I think what the revolution when that started was based on like a 4% tax. I mean, and look what they did for 4%, and here we are at 37% for one. It's right. Insane. So taxes is a huge one. I get it. Taxes might get raised. Like sometimes there's not a way to get around it.
Depends on if you get yourself in a mess that you got to get yourself out of still, right?
Exactly.
I mean, that's what we're looking at federally as from our
exactly.
Like you're not getting around that, and so I don't know what our city looks like or how that works, but
I mean, the way our city's going right now, at least in meetings, they say it's going to go up every year. the cost of inflation, cost of running a city. There's other things that we can do to, counteract the percentage that it's being increased, in my opinion.
Be like a family, right?
Exactly.
You can either stop doing as much, or you're just
Exactly.
gonna have to pay more for stuff.
I mean, if I, don't have enough money in my family budget all of a sudden, I can't be like, hey, you're gonna give me more money. You got to cut some stuff. You got to trim the fat.
Kids got to start working.
I got 8 kids, man. That's a lot of jobs.
Yeah, right. If you had a farm, you'd be set.
That's right. So stuff like that. I mean, I think that fiscal responsibility is huge. I think that there's places where we could, trim the fat in our budget. I'm not going to full out attack our council about it, like some people have, because I do understand, like I said, inflation right now. And sitting in meetings the last 2 months, I watched them go from 15% to 4.5%. So you got to give credit where it's due.
Right.
That probably is not like the best slogan for me running. And then the biggest one for me is people just are sick and tired of not being represented the way that they want. That's honestly probably like my biggest thing with running for any office is your votes, your decisions, your opinions, every decision you make while in office should reflect the opinions of the people that voted you into office. I mean, it's called a representative for a damn reason. You know what I mean? And so many people are just, they claim that, they go to city council meetings, their voices aren't heard. They claim that they, reach out to this government official and doesn't go anywhere. Or so a lot of people feel like it doesn't matter who they vote for because the same thing's going to happen.
They're going to figure out. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
That is my biggest problem. I don't know if you want to say with the system, but like if someone votes for you, literally your whole job is to just represent their opinion.
Something like an employee-employer situation. I mean, not exactly. Right? There's calls you got to make, but
like there might be a lot of things where I might go, well, maybe that's not what I would choose. But I've had 700 people contact me in the last week saying that that's what they want me to choose. As long as it's not illegal, unethical, guess what? Like that's where I'm going with. I was asked by when you first run and they announce who the candidates are, you'll have a lot of clubs, special interest groups, I guess.
Okay.
That'll get a hold of you, want to interview you. And
have you done interviews before this? I didn't know that. Is that information published for people, or is that just so the groups know? They're like, hey, this is the guy we like, and we're not going to let the whole city know about it. It's just we want to know what we're getting into if we vote for you. I
don't know, because mine didn't go too far.
Okay.
Mine was by a housing development group.
Okay.
And I know they invited all the people running for office to it one at a time.
Okay.
And the thing that was proposed to me, and I won't say who it was or anything, is they started with hey, in 10 seconds, give me your pitch. I was like, my pitch? Like I still didn't know anything about politics at all.
God bless America.
I said, and I gave him the same thing. I said, I believe that a representative's job is literally just your decisions and your votes should damn well reflect the opinions of the people that voted you in. Hands down, as long as it's not illegal, unethical, or anything like that. That is your job. It's not to, I'm going to do favors for people. That's your job. And they just looked at me like,
oh, this guy.
I said, well, we just want to know what candidates, are like-minded with us that we can get behind. Throw some money at your campaign. And I was like, oh man.
Yeah. And I like money. I can use money.
It's honestly my least favorite part about running is like, who wants to donate? But they said,
I'm not gonna really promise you anything.
Yeah, exactly. My whole thing is donate if our ideals align. Don't donate if you think you're gonna get favors out of it. And that's kind of what they didn't want to hear. They said, well, we'll give you an example real quick. Every housing development usually has to go through zoning and everything, which goes through the city council. If we or somebody likes us or like us wants to put high density housing here, and everyone around them tells you we don't want this built here, what are you going to do? And I just went, well, I pretty much just told you what I'm going to do.
Oh, that's still your answer after the money thing?
Yeah.
Well, okay.
He looked at me and goes, well, looked at everyone else. He goes, we'll be in touch. I was like, I said, we won't, but it's fine.
That's fine.
And I would get up
and
and
it's you, I guess.
He goes, yeah, I'll give it to you. Like, I'm impressed with like you're sticking with your answer. That's the only answer I've got, man. I'm sorry.
And he's like, and if I lived in Brigham, I'd vote for you, but I don't, and I work for this housing development.
Right.
So I'm not gonna. So
Right. And I was wearing short sleeves, and that's where I was like, sorry, man. And he was like,
Yeah, if you want to show that to the camera, I saw that. It's like, hey,
I usually keep it hidden,
yeah.
but
You're gonna put something on your body. Oh,
I don't know if you can see.
Yeah, you
Right?
can
My
see
arm
it
is
'cause of the-
disappearing.
Yeah, it's because
It just says "We the People" on it.
there you go.
It's kind of.
In the font of the Constitution.
That's right.
Or is that,
It's the
yeah, that's
only
the
font.
Constitution.
It's the only font.
There you go.
Oh yeah, that's
All right.
a long story. Those are my 3 things.
No, that's great. That's great. We don't have to. This doesn't have to go a direction. I just have a couple of questions I'd like to ask. I think on your little blurb for the city council candidacy, whatever, that everybody's got like 3 paragraphs and they're all kind of not helpful. And, transparency and accountability, I think, is a responsibility. What would your approach to transparency accountability be? Is it basically kind of everything you said so far, or is there something you'd like to add to that so that people who might be considering voting for you are like, what does that look like?
I think that there should be no secrets at all.
Okay.
Now, during city council meetings when I've been there, which half the time it's me, sometimes you, and like one other person.
I was there twice.
That's more than half the people I've seen. Sometimes it's just me.
Yeah.
But in a lot of them, they'll say, well, we're posting the budget on the city website last week or whatever, which is all fine and dandy. It's good. That's what they're supposed to do.
Right.
I don't think a lot of people realize like that's there. So one thing is I would use every available resource, whether it's social media, podcasts, the internet, me standing on my roof and screaming, like whatever.
Megaphone.
Yeah, there you go, megaphone. Boombox outside of everyone's window. The more ways to be able to reach people is the best. I mean, during city council, a lot of them have said, well, it's on there. It's their duty, their responsibility to look it up.
Yeah.
Maybe, but I don't think that's the best way to approach it. I think that I wouldn't say it falls on the city to do it, but if you take your job as a representative seriously, you kind of want to keep that's, in your area informed of what's happening.
Yeah, it seems like when it's on the website there, right? It's like, hey, you can go see it if you want to.
Yeah.
Good luck finding it or understanding what it says. It's kind of like when I was in high school and I was like, I didn't really do the whole assignment, but I know that teacher has like 100 students.
Right.
How closely is she going to read my assignment? We'll just slide it in there.
Cliff notes.
Hey, we'll see how it goes.
Kind of. And a lot of it is like when I took Latin, like, I don't know what this means. I don't know how to read it. Like when you start, a lot of people look at those and they go, this is like a totally different language to me. I think that especially after every city council meeting, at least, a dumbed down version, not dumb as in like a derogatory.
Layman terms.
There you go. A simpler version that's not as complex. A dumbed down thing's going to bite me. Watch.
That's right. Some people appreciate it. They get it.
I am very much a foot and mouth kind of person, just so everyone knows. That's my wife.
You had gotten to this, and this was a question I had written down that I wanted to make sure. I'm just going to read it. But in a recent meeting, many city councilmen, one that I went to, so there was, for everybody context, there was discussion about rezoning agricultural lands into some sort of housing. And so I had seen that going to be talked about, and me and a number of other people had went to provide public comment on that particular thing. And so we asked a bunch of questions, and then at the appropriate time, the city council was able to kind of give additional information and say what they wanted to say. And they said that there are very few citizens at city council meetings, and that it's an important way for them to hear our voice. So do you share that sentiment? Would you tell people that are, what would you tell people that are busy as it is? That we need people in seats here so we can hear what you're saying. But I tried staying for that whole meeting, and my wife was like, I need help with the kids. They were talking about really minutia stuff, and I was like, I can't be here every single meeting.
Right, just get the meat and potatoes out of the way.
Yeah. So what would you, is that something that is that what you're talking about, or is there something more there?
That's one aspect of how I say, like, I would use just every available resource. A lot of people just don't have time, or they work nights, or they don't have a babysitter. I was a single parent for a while. I know how that is, and that sucks. You don't have time to do anything.
Stuff with another person helping.
Right, exactly. So stuff like that, like I would blast all over everything. This is the big, the key points, which is kind of what I meant when I said dumb it down.
Okay.
These are the key points. You're probably more interested in these things. This is what was talked about. This is what, if a decision or any were made or not.
Like a email or a Facebook post or with the bullet points of like,
Right.
here's the things that could impact you. You may not have thought of this thing being important, but I understand the repercussions go into these different parts. And
Right.
people have mentioned this is an issue, so I'm letting you know if you want to be at a city council meeting and let us know how
Now
you
they
feel or
do.
something.
I know they do stream it online.
Yeah,
Also,
but that's like 3 hours.
exactly. Like,
I'm not gonna
sit
stream
there
it from
and
home.
I don't know if it's like you can watch a later thing even. I'm not sure.
I did find a resource online that actually it's AI. It scans all of that kind of stuff.
Really?
Yeah, I think I posted it on the site. Maybe I'll share
Nice.
it. But it kind of scans that this is what was discussed. Something like that.
I'm
might be helpful.
technology illiterate, so everyone knows. If anyone that knows me, you can ask them. They're like, that guy doesn't know anything about computers.
You're gonna have one of your kids help you get it posted onto Facebook so that it can.
I've got 8 of them, man. Like they're all getting jobs. Not really. They're not really. Child labor laws. They're not really.
Wink.
Right.
All right. Let's see here. So, okay, this is something that we kind of touched on even just before we started the podcast. So, I guess what is your vision for the city? So, one of the things that was brought up at that city council meeting that I went to was like, well, there's a master plan for the city, and all of this kind of stuff fits into it. I wasn't able to go look at that. I know they talked about a year or two ago, like, hey, what we want input from everybody, and then they took that and they kind of put it into a master plan. And I was like, oh, this is part of the master plan. Like, I remember explicitly saying, no, like I don't want more high density housing, and now you're rezoning stuff. So I haven't taken the time to go look at the master plan. I'm sure there's a website, and maybe we can put it in the show notes if you guys need to look at it. Based on either what you know about the current city plan or what you would move towards as far as the city plan, what kind of things would you keep in mind? What is your vision for the city?
Well, I'll touch real quick on the rezoning and the plan part. This is something that I did not know until the last city council meeting when it got brought up, actually. One way to kind of combat our insanely high tax increase that we've gotten collectively through all these other different entities, which, like we talked about, the city is not one of the highest ones, actually. They did, like I said, I'll give credit where credit's due, even though it's probably not the best campaign idea, but they brought it down. I think it was 15 to like 4.5%.
Okay.
But one of the things that they can do to combat your residential taxes is with commercial tax.
Bringing businesses.
Right. This got brought up last week, and they had public comment on it, and there was a lot of even legislators that showed up to make public comment on it, and they were all not happy about it. And I'm not the happiest about it. Like after learning about it, 1100 South, like that is by far the county's biggest commercial asset, right? A big chunk of it on the north side, they are trying to rezone all of a sudden from commercial to high density housing.
Is that the Blue Heron area?
Yep.
Dude, I saw that on the map. That was what made me go to city council.
Yep. I had not heard anything about that one. I thought, because they'd spoken about it a little bit before, about a month before. I thought they were talking about over by the North 40 on that end by Stevenson's trucking and all that stuff. Apparently, this is the north side of 1100 South.
Is ideal for that stuff, right? So they can go to Ogden or Logan or wherever, right?
So it's right on. It takes away most of Brigham's, and this from what I understand. So I could be wrong, but it takes away most of the commercial zoned for businesses. And we've had a lot of big box businesses. Examples were like Home Depot, Lowe's, that kind of stuff. I mean, Cabela's wanted to build the Cabela's out here when I was a teenager before they built it in Lehigh. Like, it was supposed to be right here, and they were told no thanks.
Jeez.
We have all that
city council, obviously,
right? Not the current one. But if we lose all of that commercial zoning right there, that is the prime commercial real estate in the whole county. Well, at least for Brigham.
Right.
By far in Brigham.
Half of Perry.
Right.
On the other side.
And so, I mean, if you take that away, it's kind of twofold. I don't know a better way to say it, but screwing the citizens, in my opinion, tax-wise. Because A, you're not only taking away the commercial zoning, the commercial tax that can help offset everyone's residential tax increase, but then you're kind of doing a double slap in the face of not only are we taking away your commercial zoning,
with revenue,
and we're going to make high density instead.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And there's a lot of
Well, that's the thing too, is that although the city isn't responsible, like, well, we only went 4% instead of 15%. Well, the high density housing, if the school system is already overloaded,
exactly.
you think building more apartments and I think single family housing units is probably great. I think if you filled Brigham City with single family houses, even if they're on little postage stamp lots where you can throw a rock at your neighbor, I don't think you're going to be able to overload it. Whereas if you build 4 stories, which I think is what I saw on the Blue Heron thing, I'll put that in
It
the show
was
notes
big.
as well. It was a big map, and I was like, there's some like townhomes surrounding it, and then you've got like 4 stories worth of high density housing. All of those kids have to go to school somewhere, and those people they're transient a lot of the time. I lived in apartments for a while. You don't have that same buy-in into the community, and so it changes a lot of things. I don't know that we need to turn this part of the podcast into that. That was my beef, and that's the whole reason I was at the city council meeting. But yeah, that's an issue. Sounds like that would be an issue for you as well. If somebody had an issue with the high density housing, the commercial stuff, that's something you have an issue with, and you would find allies in that. Somebody who has that issue, they might want to vote for you.
I mean, there's a time and a place for apartment buildings, for townhouses. There is.
Ogden, Logan.
I don't think that area is either the time or the place. You're taking away the commercial revenue that could offset your giant residential property tax rate increase right now. Kind of kicking a dog while it's down.
Do you know anything about this? As far as I know, there's a number of businesses that are jumping the border from Brigham to Perry. I think I know the DI is going over there. We've had a number of dealerships and stuff. Do you know what that's about? I don't know anything about that.
So I don't know if it is a Brigham issue, a Perry issue, or if it's just a
they have lower
logistic issue. Maybe they're like, hey, 1100 South is the place to be now. We're going to get in anywhere we can. I don't know. I don't know if there's any. I'm sure there is something. I don't know what it is.
All right. So one of the questions I had, taking your vision for the city, which I think got into a little bit there. I know that there's been. I think I've heard it from city councilmen, and I've heard it from friends that live in Utah elsewhere, that there's some of the stuff that the city councils or the mayor does is done because there are strings attached to things that the state wants done. And so they say, if you want our money from the state, you have to do these things. And I think some amount of high density housing was the context I was learning of. I don't know if that applies to, I have to assume that applies to other things. So if you have this vision for what you think either you would like, or just understanding what the citizens of Brigham want, what do you do if that contravenes what the state has in mind, or incentivizes or disincentivizes?
You got to weigh the pros and cons, and like, is it worth what the state wants? Sometimes it might be, but like I said, everything down to me really just boils down to what do the people want and what's best for them. Sometimes people, myself included, you might want something, but it might not be what's best for you. But I think that's probably a very slim to none, kind of situation. I think a lot of the people that are interested enough to voice their opinion are usually the same people that have done their homework. And if it's an overwhelming, we don't want this, like my vote is going to be, we don't want it. Like I said, unless it's illegal, unethical, or just a very obvious, this is a dumb decision. Because I can't think of any of those, but I'm sure that they're every once in a while, so I don't want to rule it out.
Right, that's fair.
I don't want to promise, like, I will only do this, and then something comes across your desk, and you're like, oh no.
Right. I've seen Parks and Rec. They have some city council meetings. I think I saw one online, just like, I don't know why I'm here.
Yeah.
Like,
I told them this, but this is obviously the better choice.
People like that exist. That's fair. Okay, so that's fair. Okay, and that might be something that, as far as transparency goes, be like, okay,
Exactly.
You may not know the whole picture here. Is if we don't do this, then your taxes have to go up. Are you still okay with that? Exactly. I think if we know what we're getting out of it, maybe that's part of it.
Exactly. Do you know who Eli Crane is?
I don't.
He's a ex-Navy SEAL. I guess can't say ex always. Yeah. He's one congressman in Arizona now, and I was listening to an interview with him, and he's like, sometimes I know that we're going to vote on this issue tomorrow in Congress. He goes, I don't know exactly what my people would want me to vote. So he goes, I'll have like a over the phone town hall meeting
with meeting with everybody.
Yeah, with a bunch of different people, and I was like, hey, what do you want? And they'll have a discussion about it. And he goes, 99% of the time, what they want is what I vote. And to me, that was like kind of like an aha moment of that's what real transparency is right there.
Okay.
Is not only do you see the whole picture, you are invited to join in the whole picture. Your voice wants to be heard. It's not just a you tell me what you think, and I go, okay, yeah. As soon as I close the door up, don't worry about that guy. Like I said, the name of the job is represented. So to me, that's a lot of what transparency is. No secrets.
So our recording last time got cut short. I was a fool and used my phone's internet. We're trying this again. We're going to pick up where we left off there. So with that in mind, Phil, our last question that we weren't able to get to. What experience do you have that will make you a good city
I still hate this question.
councilman?
I'm not gonna lie, I have no political or any sort of establishment experience. Like I said, I'm just a regular guy that wants things to be different. I do have more like real world experience, some of it that translates over. Being a sheriff's deputy is the law. Besides the law, the Constitution is everything. Like that is everything. And so I'd like to say a decent understanding of the Constitution. I'm never going to say an expert because I think there's always a lot more to know, no matter how much you know. But I understand constitutional rights and legal rights, case law, stuff that if you're, whether you're city council or Congress, legislation is still legislation and it's still based on the Constitution and case law and all that kind of stuff. And then knowing that I don't have experience in it, I've gone to 2 schools. I did the Hillsdale College stuff we talked about for constitutional studies. And then I'm currently in college for public administration and political science because I know that I don't know what I'm talking about half the time, probably, or don't understand as much as someone that grew up in it or, has years of experience in it. But the only way to get that is to start to learn. So that's about it, really.
For whatever it's worth, I know that President Trump didn't have a lot of political experience.
True.
And I would say, for me, in some cases, that can actually be an asset. Not having, the connections, the ties,
Right.
cuts both ways. And so I can
It's a
see that
different
being
mindset, in my opinion. So I don't know if that hurts or helps, but I look at it differently than probably almost anyone else does.
yeah, probably depends on the constituent, right? I
Right.
remember having multiple conversations with the guy that I used, and he would talk about Hillary Clinton. He's like, "Oh, she's got all this experience." I was like, "Yeah, but like, seems like a liability as much as
Yeah.
anything." So
Yeah.
there's that. Not to say that that all applies to everybody who's on the city council.
I'm not a career politician.
Right there you go.
We'll put it that
There
way,
you
I
go.
guess.
Exactly, and that's something that I'd like to see transparency on. Or I guess it's not transparency. I don't understand. So maybe when I interview the councilman, is understanding how they make their money because it sounds like they don't make a lot of money based on what you were telling me the other
I was
day.
told it's like equals out to less than $1 per hour or something.
Right, that's not a career. So they have to have jobs doing other things, or
Yeah.
there's some other stuff going on. Again, I would love to know more about that. So, yeah, so Brigham City is a religious community. Do you have any
Yes.
words for them as you seek to represent them as a city councilman?
Like I said before, this might lose some votes. I'm not LDS, but I do have a deep-rooted Christian faith, as we've talked about a few times. And I also understand, especially Utah has the very cliche of separation of church and state and all that stuff. But morally, I think is more important of where a lot of times stuff comes from. And morally, my values come from my Christian faith. Now, does that play a part in how you feel about issues? It does. Like, there's no way of getting around that. Like, it just does. But I'm trying to explain it. Any decisions that I make or would like to say would make, policy wise, legislative wise, for anything really, um, it's not just because my faith says so. That's where the morality behind a lot of things comes from. But anything that I would propose or try and pass, I can defend with also judicial or legislative arguments of why this is the correct way or the legal way or the right way, not just a more morality based on my faith.
So it goes both ways. That's one of the things he does. Any of these guys, we talked about Charlie Kirk a little bit
Right.
earlier, and it's here's my faith, and I can defend my faith. But if I'm talking to somebody who doesn't share my faith, I can still explain my arguments as to why. It's not just because Jesus said so, or God, or whoever you worship. It's I believe that's true, and also here's a whole bunch of things.
Right. Here are legal, legislative, constitutional reasons for the same argument. Like I would hope that I could be able to prove any talking point from an appointed elected position solely based on constitutional ways or judicial or legislative, and not even have to bring in faith. Like I said, it's my bearing for my morals, it is. But it's not what controls what legislative stuff I agree with or don't agree with all the time. Or there's always, you have to have, especially constitutional reasons that you can back up your arguments or your decisions or that kind of thing. And even though I'm not LDS, almost all my friends are because I grew up here. It's like we were talking about earlier, though. Being in Utah, well, most of Utah, the LDS faith, it promotes a lot of the same things that, the non-denominational Christian faith promotes. Good morals, love thy neighbor, all that kind of stuff. And it makes places like this a great place to be, a great place to raise a family. I mean, it's not like I've never had, people, neighbors or anything go, well, you're not LDS, so, we're going to be violent or negative. Like,
get off my podcast.
Exactly. Like it's a very tolerant society. And it makes it it's a good place to live. It's a good place to raise your kids. It's where I was raised. It's where I'm raising my kids. It's where, God willing, my kids raise their kids and I can watch my grandkids grow here. And a big part of why I'm running really is I just want to make it better, do what I can, do my part, make it better for my kids, my grandkids, and everybody else.
Anything else you want to say before we finish our podcast?
Exercise your right to vote. That is one of the most sacred rights that there is. Even if you don't like my opinion, if your interests, your beliefs, whatever you want to call it, don't align with mine, that's fine. I would urge you to go vote for one of the other candidates. It's not about me, it's about our community, what's best for our community. And if you don't think that my opinions or what I say, because I say a lot of stupid stuff, I do. Like I said, I'm a very foot and mouth kind of guy. Ask my wife, she will tell you. But vote, just vote. That is the important part. If you don't agree with me, that's okay. Like I'm not for everybody, but exercising your right to vote should be.
Yeah, I would add a caveat there. Maybe you would agree with this, is that you should vote if you know what you're voting for. Part of the goal,
Also true.
Part of the goal of this podcast is that we know who we're voting for.
Right.
And the goal is to have everybody on this so that people can watch and be like, oh, I like this, I don't like this.
Be an informed voter.
You're not just not voting for Phil because you don't like it because he's not Mormon or whatever it is. It's
don't vote for me because we went to high school together.
I do know Matt, or I know Ryan or whatever.
Exactly.
But I don't know any of them, so I'm just gonna roll the dice and whatever that says. That's
be informed. Vote with conviction and vote on your ideals. Like I said, I'm not, at least I don't think, a normal politician, at least around here. A lot of people are, city council, it's like a business. That's fine and dandy. I come to the table with the mindset of I'm a son of the revolution, and that's the way that I think the country needs to go back towards.
When you say son of the revolution, it sounds like
no.
I'm not sure what that is. It's
an ideology.
Okay. You love the founding fathers, and you think they had the right idea, and we've moved away from it.
100%.
Well, I appreciate you again. Thanks for joining me today, and
thank you.
Podcast.
I'm excited again. I'm on the first 2 episodes technically now. I'm 2 for 2.
Exactly.
I like it.
I just want to make sure I say this. Oh yeah, where can people reach you if they'd like to know more or support you?
I don't have a website. I'm not too much of a spend a ton of money on a campaign, which I know later on I'll probably inevitably will have to. But social media, I'm on there a lot. A lot of people I've gotten to know from that.
Any social media in particular? I think I know you're on Facebook.
Mostly Facebook. I have Instagram now, just barely. I'm kind of an old soul. I don't like tech stuff, despite the watch. Guys. But Facebook, if you message me on either one of those, like, I will message you back. You can ask me anything you want. I've had a lot of people message me and be like, I don't know if you can answer this. As long as it's not illegal or unethical, like transparent, like I said. I'll tell you whatever you want to know. I'll answer whatever you think you want to know what my opinion is on something, you can ask me just about anything and I'll tell you. If you want me to come to your house and talk to you in person, that's good too. I mean, really, the whole job is just to get to know everyone, inform everyone. Like, consider it the job title is representative, so it's kind of just all plays into that.
You'd mentioned an email address earlier as well.
electphilipzieseniss@gmail.com. It was the most simple, generic one that I could think of.
Perfect.
If you email me on there, I've had people email me on there. Mostly 'cause I think that's on the city and the state website. It's listed there, which that's fine. That's fine. I'll email you back on there anyway. Just get a hold of me any way you want. Stop me on the street if you want. Tell me who you are first. But yeah, in anything anyway.
Perfect. All right. And then remember, everybody, to become informed and vote.
Yes.
And then turn to the Lord for help. We need it.
Yes.
Thanks for watching the podcast, and thanks for being on it.
Yeah. Thank you.